Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for picking a restaurant my stepsiblings couldn't eat at? My uncle brought me out to eat on Saturday because he wasn't here for my 16th birthday 3 weeks ago. He had to take my stepsiblings, 13F, 11M, with us. He's not their stepuncle, by the way. He's my mom's brother. Stepsiblings are my dad's stepkids. But my uncle and dad used to be best friends, but their friendship ended when my mom died 7 years ago. Things are messy because my uncle still wants to see me and I want to see him, but dad doesn't want my stepsiblings left out, so they get dragged around sometimes. Something kinda relevant is that my stepsiblings have, not anaphylactic kind, food allergies. Their allergies are different from each other and they get rashes and puking and stuff from eating foods they're allergic to. This has become such a focus for my dad and their mom that I don't get to eat at places I like, even when my stepsiblings aren't there, because it's not fair. I'm also the only person in the family, I think it's more a burden than a family, who never gets to have my favorite restaurant on rotation for eating out. My dad, his wife and both my stepsiblings get their number one choice, but because mine doesn't easily accommodate my stepsiblings, I can't have it. All of my top 5 are out. Even for stuff like my birthday. I hate it. I resent it. I don't have the family affection or mushiness for them to make it easier. I just basically suck it up. But when my uncle was taking me, I chose my top choice. And he took us. My step-siblings didn't eat. I didn't even feel bad because their needs are always put first and they shouldn't have been tagging along anyway. Their mom was so mad when my uncle dropped me off and dad was disappointed in me. He asked me why I chose it and I told him it's my favorite restaurant and it's been almost 6 years since I got to eat there because they decided I can never have it while I live with them. I told him it was meant to be celebrating my birthday, and since I get effed over when they celebrate me because of my step-siblings, I didn't see why I had to do it when my uncle was taking me. I told him they shouldn't have been there in the first place. I didn't want them there. He was just effing with my uncle. His wife heard me say her kids shouldn't have been there and she asked where my compassion is and where my sibling bond went, and I told her I never had one. My step-siblings were really upset they'd been forced to watch 2 of us eat, and that made their mom more angry at me and dad more upset with me, especially because I didn't feel bad about it. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole, he's your uncle, not theirs. It was your birthday celebration, not theirs. Steal those little moments for you whenever possible. Opie replies. This was the first time I was just so done with it to try. And willing to risk the consequences. Not the a-hole, this was your one time to pick a place that you liked. Your uncle wanted to honor you for your birthday. That's crazy that you can't even go to your preferred places when your step-siblings are not around. And it's also crazy that your parents forced your uncle to include them. Good for you for finally getting to enjoy a special meal. Opie replies. I know. I hate it. They act so surprised then that I'm not close to my dad's wife or my step-siblings. Not the a-hole, surely there are times when your step-siblings spend time with their mothers, your stepmother's family without you. So why do they have to come to everything your mother's family organizes? Opie replies. I think it's my dad's way of punishing my uncle. Next story. Am I the a-hole for making my daughter take a break from going to her best friend's house because the mom purposely bought her a smaller size dress? About 2 weeks ago, my 14-year-old daughter Bonnie was out shopping with her best friend Gigi and Gigi's mom Lauren. While they were out, Lauren bought them both dresses she thought were cute. Except she bought Bonnie a size 3. Bonnie said she picked out one that was her size, but Lauren put it back and said that the size 3 one would be her aspirational dress to work towards fitting into. When she came home, she gave it to me and was upset, but also didn't want to say anything bad about Gigi's mom, which I get. First off, Bonnie is a healthy girl. Gymnastics until she was about 11, and grew several inches, dance in the fall and track in the spring, all her choices. So she's got an athletic build. Gigi is a small girl, barely 5 feet, and so I thought at first she got them mixed up. She told me that Gigi's mom got it for her to aspire to try to get into by working hard. I said I'd take care of it and get her the right size. The next day, I called Gigi's mom Lauren and asked her why she would do that. She explained that she thought it would give Bonnie something to work towards, because she heard Bonnie saying she didn't get asked out last year but Gigi had several boys after her and that it seemed like it upset her. I told her it was inappropriate and asked her why she would tell a kid she needed to lose weight in order to get attention from boys. She got defensive and said that it was obviously embarrassing for Bonnie to not have boys into her when all her friends do. She basically said I'm holding Bonnie back from growing up, like I won't help her with boys, won't drop hundreds at Sephora, still dress her like a kid, and buy B&BW sprays instead of fancy perfumes. She said it's messing with Bonnie socially and that she's the only one in her friend group who hasn't had a boyfriend. Then she got personal and said just because I've given up and stopped trying doesn't mean I have to turn Bonnie into a nun. For the record, this is partially true. But it's also because Bonnie doesn't want that stuff. I have offered to get her more than Cetaphil skincare and she doesn't want it. She got straight as last year and I took her to Ulta for a spree, and all she wanted was some lip gloss and then asked for the body spray instead. I said that it's time for a break. The girls can still hang out, but I don't want Bonnie at Gigi's house. Bonnie got upset over it and I can deal with that. Gigi's mom however has gone nuclear over it, spreading poison everywhere she can about me being psycho, and doubling down on how it's all because I don't want my daughter to be happy with a boyfriend when I'm single and no man would touch me. Which is just childish. And I've been shocked to see how other people have reacted to this, so now I'm questioning my own parenting, which I never do. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Gigi's mom is toxic. This is not someone you want your daughter exposed to or associating with. She's 14, she is still a kid. It is not messing with her socially to treat her in an age-appropriate way. Gigi's mom's implication that your daughter needs to lose weight is also beyond unacceptable. Her own kid is probably on her way to an eating disorder, you don't want your daughter in that boat. Lauren is a gossip and a bully. You can't control what other people think about you or say about you. It's a life lesson to teach your daughter. Hold your head high. If anyone tries to talk about it to you, simply explain you're choosing not to allow any woman to fat shame your daughter by buying her clothes that are too small for her and telling her she needs to lose weight to please boys. You find the behavior abhorrent, and you are protecting your daughter from that kind of toxicity. You're doing a great job. Your daughter may not appreciate it now, but she will as she gets older. Why on earth any woman is pushing for 13 to 14-year-old girls to have boyfriends is beyond me. What the crap? Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepmom she's not an incentive for me to change my last name? My parents were never married, so I, 16M, have my mom's last name. She died when I was 5. My dad was already married to my stepmom at the time. But I admit I didn't really warm up to her because I picked up on tension between her and mom. After mom died it was worse because my stepmom would say things like, "You're finally where you belong," and "I'm so happy you're my little boy now." It made me feel really icky and unhappy. My dad was never the hands-on parent he liked to pretend to be, so he'd just tell me to accept being loved. 2 months after mom died, the oldest of my 3 half-sisters was born. It was a lot of change for me and I was very sad back then. I felt pretty alone. My stepmom was always trying to grow closer to me. She'd even sometimes hire babysitters for an entire day to spend her time trying to make me love her. It hurt her really bad when I'd shut her out. But I hated hearing her call me hers, and she would tell me I was hers now and I needed a mommy, because she did baby talk and titles with me until I was almost 12. I think she thought it would make me warm up faster. She'd always call me by my middle name, James, because that was her dad's first name instead of using my first name. There were times she'd ask me if I wanted to change my name to James and be Grandpa's Jr. I always said no. Then when I was around 8 or 9 they tried to change both my first and last name. When they didn't take me to court the first time, the judge asked to see me. He said kids would typically be present at court for something like that. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but that's what I was told, and so I was brought the next time and asked how I felt about my new name. I said I didn't want to change my name. So my name remained the same. Mom's last name included. It really bothers my stepmom that I don't share their last name. She has 3 girls and wants her only son to share the same name as her. She talked to me a few days ago and tried to convince me to make the change she and Dad tried making a few years ago, first and last name. She told me to do it for her because it would make her really happy and I could present it as a Christmas or a birthday gift. I told her she wasn't an incentive for me to change my name because I don't want to be her boy and I don't accept her as my mom. She started to cry and she called me spoiled and bratty in retaliation. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your stepmom seems absolutely deluded. And your father just seems to want to go along with whatever she wants so that she can be happy, with no regard to your thoughts or feelings. They are giant a-hole for wanting to erase every part of your mother, and especially for trying to force a connection you don't want. I'm very curious, how did your father and stepmother meet? From what I'm getting, it seems like infidelity might have been involved. You are not her son, you don't want a connection with her, and them trying to change your name behind your back is scummy. Perhaps telling her the truth will finally get her to give up on this fantasy she has of you being her child. It's also interesting how quickly she was to turn on you when you rebuffed her affection. Not the a-hole, she needs therapy and needs to learn boundaries. OP replies. They knew each other growing up and dated in high school but broke up before senior year. She always wanted to get back together with Dad, but before they met up again he'd met Mom and they had me. They broke up when I was so young, but even still, I think my stepmom was so jealous that Dad had a kid before they could get back together. It wasn't hard to see she hated my mom back then. There were times she'd look so pissed when she'd see my mom. She's also jealous that Mom had a boy while she had 3 girls. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help get my stepdaughters to their newest extracurricular activity? My husband has 2 daughters, 13 and 12, with his ex-wife. They have been divorced for almost 11 years and we have been married for 7 years and share 2 kids together ages 6 and 3. His ex-wife is not currently remarried, but she did marry twice since the divorce and has 2 additional children ages 9 and 5. The co-parenting relationship is very unstable and changeable. Some decisions need to be made via mediation. Others they can agree on to a point. While a few were taken to court for a judge to decide it for them. My relationship with my stepdaughters was good until 3 years ago when their mom's negativity changed how they treat me. They have expressed that they know their mom doesn't like me, so they won't like me anymore either. This has been discussed in court and in therapy and nothing has changed. They continue to treat me differently than before. They don't get away with disrespect, but they still are way more than before and they're colder with me in general. Now on to the issue where I want to know if I'm the a-hole. My husband and I are typically really good about communicating and he is a supportive husband and father and has done a good job of keeping me out of his ex-wife's way so she can't say crap to me and also standing up for me. I don't join them for talks about the girls. That's him and his ex, but my husband and I will discuss it. A few months ago the girls said they wanted to take new dance classes 50 minutes from our home. They already do ballet, dancing for fun, which is free, and gymnastics. But these dance classes are different. They're also more expensive than the other extracurriculars they do. I told my husband I thought the new dance classes were too far and too expensive and I said they would not work with the schedule we already have. But when he and his ex sat down to discuss it he agreed to these new dance classes which he and his ex will split 50-50ths. When he told me I wasn't thrilled, because he didn't tell me he was going to agree to them. But I know it's not my decision. But I told him I could not and would not help get the girls there. He told me we'd figure something out. The girls were back with us 2 days after this talk and they said their mom told them I didn't want them to do these dance classes and sucks to be me because I don't have a say because I'm not their parent. My husband told them not to speak to me like that. He was unable to get his parents to take the girls to the new classes so he wanted me to do it. I put my foot down and said no. He said he can't because he has to work. I told him I have to drop our 6-year-old off at his extracurricular that day and it would not work with time. My husband asked his ex if she'd bring them every week and she's saying I'm such an a-hole for not driving them and how dare I think I get any say in this. That I need to do what the kids want and stay out of their way otherwise. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. You defend your husband but he's part of the problem. Your husband should have never told his ex/kids that you thought negatively of the class, especially without the context that it's too difficult for them to get there. Your husband clearly didn't hear you when you said you wouldn't take them. You don't have to be part of hubby/ex's conversation, but then hubby/ex cannot make you part of the plan. Tell hubby that your conversations with him need to be confidential. Tell hubby/ex/girls that the girls cannot disrespect you and then think they can have their hand out for anything other than the meals you cook at home. Opie replies. In this he definitely is. I defended him because typically he is not. But this time he is a big part of it. Not the a-hole, you're not part of the plan, so your help is unnecessary. You have your own children to worry about. Mom wants to continue to advocate for hate, then literally just do what duties need to be done when they are physically in your home. Feed them and make sure they have water and electricity. That's it. Dad also needs to buck the F up and remind his ex that if she wants her kids to hate you, you're not doing the extra. He can fight with her about the kids but not about respecting you. Almost sounds like you don't need him either. OPREPLES he has fought with her about them respecting me but she doesn't care. She really doesn't. There is nothing he can say or do that will change her behavior. It's why he shields me from direct contact with her now, because she is not civil to me. Not the a-hole. Blended families are hard work and it's a two-way street. Those girls don't respect you but want your help. That would be a big no from me. Opie replies. It's not even them as much as their mom is demanding it, yet she wants me to basically have no presence in their lives otherwise. By this I mean the girls really don't want me to take them. They'd prefer to go with anyone else. But their mom thinks I need to be acting like the unpaid help. Not the a-hole. They, husband and his ex, don't involve you directly in the decision making, so they can't make demands or assumptions after the fact. 50 minutes one way to a class is way too long and you are right to say no. Opie replies. I think so too, and it's not that it's the only place they could do these kinds of classes. They just like this place for them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for implementing a "you cook you clean" rule and leaving her to clean up her dishes after she made pasta? My wife and I switch off cooking, both of us cook twice a week, and the days neither of us cook it's a leftover night or takeout. We used to have the person that didn't cook do the dishes after the meals. I clean as a cook, so when it is my night there are very few dishes for her to clean up. When she cooks, I swear she uses almost every single dish or pot for her meals. It is a disaster in the kitchen and takes me a long time to clean the whole thing up. I have had conversations before about this and have asked her to clean as she goes to reduce then mess. She refuses and claims that is just what happens because she likes to make elaborate meals. She does make more elaborate meals than me and spends a while in the kitchen. I prefer to make more simple meals like stir fry. I brought up last Thursday that I won't clean up after her cooking anymore. She left a huge mess and I was over it. That I will clean up my dinners and she can clean up hers. On Saturday, my cooking night, I made beef tips over noodles and cleaned it all up. Sunday was her cooking night and she made homemade pasta and red pepper sauce. We ate and she didn't clean up her mess, and later the night she asked me to clean it up. I told her no and reminded her what I told her and pointed out I cleaned my stuff up. This bring me to this morning, I didn't do the dishes, and when she woke up, there wasn't much room for her to make her coffee and breakfast. She pissed I didn't clean it up. We got in a huge argument before I left for work. She thinks I am a huge a-hole, so I am asking for an outside opinion. Top comments. Not the a-hole. It isn't that her meals are more elaborate, it's that she isn't cleaning anything as she goes, so it all piles up. The division of labor isn't anywhere near even. If she doesn't want to clean as much, she can use less dishes or clown as she goes. She's picking what meals she wants to cook, so she's picking how much mess to make. Opie replies. I agree, it would be fine if she just cleaned as she goes. I am not asking her to make elaborate meals. That is all her, and I am so done having to clean it up. I had talked to her so many times about this issue. Literally there is still flour and raw pasta bits on the counter and a pile of dishes, even the blender is out. I am so over it. She was also fine not cleaning up my dinner on Saturday. I am so over it. I go back and forth on this, but I'm going to go with not the a-hole. You did have conversations about this, so this didn't come out of the blue. And she wasn't willing to clean as she goes the way you do, and instead she said, this is just what happens when I cook. And just because it's a system you'd agreed to previously doesn't mean you're not entitled to change your mind later when you realize how unfairly it works out for you. And it isn't fair that she has nothing to clean up after you cook, because you clean it all up as you go, and you have a lot to clean after she cooks. You're already cleaning up twice a week, i.e. the nights you cook, so it's only reasonable that she also clean up twice a week, when she's cooking. Not the a-hole. I prefer that you cook, you clean, to one cooks, the other cleans, precisely because you make a mess for yourself only, so if somebody cleans as they cook, they are done faster. And everybody gets days when they have nothing to do in the kitchen, which is always nice. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.